The entire Russian Armed Forces landing force aboard the Russian Mi-8 became Cargo 200 during the Ukrainian FPV strike. This was reported by the well-known Z channel Vovoda Broadcasts. According to him, all the occupying paratroopers on board were killed instantly. However, according to him, the bodies have still not been recovered, as this is simply not possible due to the proximity to the front line and the active operation of Ukrainian FPV aircraft in this area. I'm honestly tired of answering questions from relatives of the men from the GOP. They died. They died instantly. There's no way to survive in this hell. An Mi-8 burned completely within 7 minutes. They'll all be caught. That's not an option right now, the propagandist wrote. The helicopter was shot down in Donbass. Ukrainian Defense Forces intercepted the enemy helicopter and burned it in mid-flight using a drone. Official Russian media, the Kremlin, and the Russian Ministry of Defense have not commented on the situation. The losses are being hushed up, and no information has appeared on government resources. The Mi-8 is known to carry up to 24 paratroopers. The exact number of occupiers who became Cargo 200 during the attack is unknown. According to sources, only 2 occupiers survived, the navigator and the flight engineer. The rest, according to Z Channel, burned to death within minutes of the aircraft's destruction. At the same time, the German publication Bild reported that Ukrainian intelligence had mapped the enemy's helicopter's flight paths in advance. For several days, Ukrainian Armed Forces drones monitored the area of the intended strike. When the Mi-8 was in the desired area, one of the drones attacked it in mid-air and accurately hit its target. The Mi-8 is a Soviet-designed twin-engine helicopter widely used for transport, combat support, and humanitarian missions. Introduced in the 1960s, it remains one of the most widely operated helicopters globally, valued for its versatility, durability, and ability to operate in challenging environments. The Mi-8 is a twin-engine military transport helicopter used by Russian forces for troop and cargo transport as well as airborne operations. This is not the first time Ukraine has taken down a Russian helicopter, an asset valued in millions of dollars, using a relatively inexpensive FPV drone costing just a few $1,000s. Russian servicemen who previously served in rear units and on the border have begun to be sent to assault units because of North Korean soldiers who are now taking their places in the rear. This was reported by the I Want to Live project of the Coordination Headquarters for the Treatment of Prisoners of War. According to the resource, the wife of Sapper Daniel Ilyasov from the 89th Sapper Regiment, Military Unit 75406, recorded a video message. She said that her husband and his comrades were replaced by North Koreans, while the Russians themselves were sent to assault units on the front lines, where they likely died. The woman noted that her husband was forcibly assigned to serve as a grenade launcher operator in the 163rd Tank Regiment of Military Unit 84839. During one of the assaults, he was seriously wounded, losing fingers. When the soldiers attempted to retreat for medical attention, the commander threatened to zero them and force them to continue the assault. According to her, Daniel Ilyasov did not return after this battle and is now considered missing in action. His wife appealed to the Russian military leadership to intervene, but received no response. The I Want to Live project reports that Ilyasov's case is not isolated. The editorial office has received complaints from other relatives of soldiers who were unexpectedly transferred from the rear to the front. These relatives note that North Korean soldiers are effectively taking their places in their units, while the Russians themselves are being sent to the most dangerous parts of the front to be killed. Media previously reported that North Korea continues to supply weapons to Russia. Furthermore, Pyongyang is preparing to send additional troops to Russia to participate in the war against Ukraine. The deployment of North Korean troops may have already occurred before the end of the summer, as Moscow was planning to intensify its offensive. South Korea's National Intelligence Service recently announced its findings regarding North Korea's involvement in Russia's aggression against Ukraine. He attended a closed briefing by the NIS. Seoul is convinced that Pyongyang is now preparing to deploy additional troops to Russia that will participate in the war against Ukraine. Additional deployments could occur as early as July or August. Lee stressed. He clarified that during the briefing, NIS representatives explained that they drew their conclusions based on processes observed in the North Korean army, as well as the recent visit to Pyongyang of a high-ranking representative of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. These intentions may also indicate Moscow's plans to intensify its attacks and launch a large-scale offensive before the end of the summer. Lee Sung-kwen believes. At the same time, South Korean intelligence stated that North Korea continues to supply Russia with artillery ammunition and missiles. Moscow pays for these supplies with technical consultations on satellite launches and missile guidance systems. Reuters recalls that after information about the first deployment of North Korean troops on Russian territory and their participation in fighting in the Kursk region appeared in the public domain, Pyongyang and Moscow acknowledged this fact after months of denial. Both countries said the cooperation is based on a treaty signed by their leaders last June, which includes a mutual defense pact. The publication adds,